Like the previous lawsuits, I could see a defense. Like, like I could see Toddy being of interest to her channel and to what she does. The same thing with Todd Chrisley, and I can see her talking about much of the things she talked about, maybe not to the extent she did, but I could see the people being of interest. But this, I mean, these weren't even public figures. Like the Robert Shin, him, he
Yeah.
wasn't a public figure. He didn't. I mean, she just pretty much picked this dude from obscurity and put him is and pushing him into like the national spotlight and just painting him as this horrible person while doing so with nothing to back it up.
Yeah.
It's
And
it's kind of dangerous that someone, anyone, has the power and ability to do that to seemingly anyone. It's one thing I mean, if she just came out and said something like, he pressured or he sexually harassed people or something, that's different. But I mean, she's making claims of human trafficking, even in laying heavy emphasis on like possibility of like human sex trafficking.
yeah. No, I
That's
saw
pretty
that.
damning. What the?
Yeah.
Yeah, I listened to that stream, the suicide prevention stream. Yeah, you and Charlie, I think was her name.
Charlie, yeah.
The woman who came up on panel with you. I mean, you both, especially her, she did a fantastic job at explaining
She
things
did.
to her, for her. Yeah, and it's a shame that she didn't catch on. It's a real shame. Because I mean, she's
Yeah.
not going to get a better explanation, a more nicer explanation either, really, I think. So, pretty much, like, that's what got me started for mostly on YouTube. Like, I was already on the internet. Like I'm probably like I would refer to myself as like an OG Facebook fighter, I guess.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Because I've been doing that since like Facebook's was created pretty much. But yeah, and that evolved from one thing to another. Like it for the most part, it was like I was involved like in local chapter photography is not a crime, police accountability, and then they went on to online activism, and then eventually made my way over to the vaccine community, which I stayed there for quite a few years. It was like several years.
Okay.
I was interviewed. I was interviewed by CNN for my efforts
wow.
there, and if you
Yeah, Katie debunked around that community too. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So, like I said, it was not that we weren't like friends or anything. We just like for the
Cross
writing
paths type
purposes,
thing.
we exchanged. Yeah, exchanged a few messages. It's really about it. Then, I don't even remember what it was. It was something I came across something, and I was like, "What the hell is she doing?" Like that's. I'm not even sure what it was. It had something to do that was pseudoscience, and like that doesn't even make sense. And then I read something like she doesn't vaccinate her cats. I'm like, what? She's a vaccine advocate. What is she talking about? So
Yeah.
and that's what got me. That's what got me, looking into her. We're just reacquainting myself with her really, and
Yeah.
and just hearing things that I knew for a fact were false. Mostly though would kind of drag me in. Oh, not drag me in, but what really just got me focused a little bit was when her husband was laid off from his job, and she went on this whole diatribe, whatever, about insurance and everything being the reason because the company didn't want to pay the insurance bills or whatever. I'm like, that's not how it works though. I'm like, there's premiums or whatever, it's not how it works. It doesn't cost the company any more money. It'll cost the company more in premiums, but I'm guessing they already know about his medical history, so the premium costs are already there.
Yeah.
And and then the way she backtracked and changed that whole story, I'm like, what is going on? And I don't know. I start watching her, and like, for me, it's frustrating when you see someone just lie, that they're lying because like just the day before they said something completely different, and then they're telling this whole nother narrative, and they're doing it for a personal agenda, for selfish reasons. That stresses me out. So I found it cathartic to just talk about it in a video and put it out there. So that's it. That's the whole point, I think, is getting to a good place. I mean, like you're not going to change things. You're not. Don't expect changes. Don't expect things to come from it. The best you can do is just correct the information, put the factual, put it out there, and walk away. know? Right? Yeah. I mean, you can try to push to have her taken down, but I don't necessarily agree with that. I mean, if she violates TOS or she's hurting people, like I feel like she's kind of used her Instagram to do that to the to this Robert Shin and maybe the whole group. Then that's one thing, but that's Instagram's decision to make. That's not mine.
Yeah.
Short of that, though, yeah, there's not much you can do. I mean, not going to change her. She's never going to see it. I mean, she's what? She's 40 something years old. She's been probably to some degree doing shit like this her whole life, and she hasn't realized it yet. What makes you think you're going to be the one to make her realize it? And by there's always going to be new subscribers for her to dupe or suck in or whatever, and then they're going to learn the facts, and then they're going to get pissed off and they're going to storm out. This is just, it's a revolving door on the internet. So I don't know. I actually, we had this discussion in the subreddit Discord, and I gave my opinion because a lot of people were making remarks about she'd have to get a real job and this and that, and I'm like, oh no. I'm like, if there's anything I've learned from watching Katie is the bitch is like a cat. She lands on her feet.
Yeah.
She would find some sort of job or some sort of, I guess, however you want to word it. She would market herself as like some motivational speaker speaking out against things like cyberbullying. And she may not be like Tony Robbins huge, you know what I mean? But she might be like Tony Robbins head huge, you know what I mean? Like she would be pretty big, I think. She would make a good living at it. And that's something that would work out for her. She would do that. I could see that. Now, I'm not saying she could do it like she'd be good at it or whatever. I see her just working that into fruition and her making a living out of it. That's
do you like when you're all like getting information on her and stuff like that, do you talk to a lot of other people? Like how does it work? Like
myself? No, I'm most of anything I do I get from her. I mean, she has put so much of her and her life out there, like time and again, that I don't really need to talk to anyone. Like I may talk to someone, ask if they have, do you have this live or whatever, from X amount date or whatever, but that's about it. As far as learning about Katie, though, Katie's where I learn about Katie.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Holy shit! Like there are so many fucking clicks. Like
that's what I was hoping you'd tell me about. Yeah.
There, like any community on Facebook or in real life, you're going to have clicks. It's no different than anywhere else, And the clicks, the people involved inside the clicks is like ever changing because people spat, people make up,
move
people
in
spat,
and out,
people make
and,
up. Like nothing gets done on Facebook anymore. Regarding Katie, like she's barely even on Facebook. I think the only reason why her Facebook page even gets the posts, I think maybe she has it set to auto post like from her Instagram or something. Maybe I don't know, but she's never even on it. The Facebook group itself, that's been archived since January 21. So yeah, I pretty much everything has been happening on YouTube or on Twitter and as of lately Instagram. If you want me to talk about it, then I ask just please let me explain. Just tell.
Please, no,
exactly
go
how
ahead.
it all came about. It was back in September, I think it was. She was doing these live streams and putting these posts up. I mean, there were several live streams, and I think like between channels even there were dozens of posts between platforms, and in these posts and on this live stream, she, as we all know, she outed the person she accused, which I got no problem with that. And she did also it kind of out, I guess, his family or their businesses. That was kind of fucked up. But and then she brought up the police department and the things that she was saying about this officer, the claims that she was making about what this officer said to her. I was in shock. Like my whole thinking was, holy shit. So, and then she said in one stream, I think he's still there. And I'm like, what? So I'm thinking, well, if this is true, the department should know about it. And if it's not true, well, the department should know about this. So, and I collected all the shit that she was saying about this and everything, and I just sent it to the department. I'm like, hey, just, I don't know if this guy's still there or whatever, whatever, just here you go. I heard back from the department, and it was obviously emphatically denied. And I was like, okay, well, and the thing is even that I was prepared to just let it die there. Like I did learn some information. I learned that their interview had been recorded or whatever, and I'm like, well, do I really want to go down that road? Do I want to do that? Do I want to go there to that extent to prove that she's lying here? Or, I hadn't made up my mind yet. I was going back and forth, but I hadn't done anything yet. But it wasn't until on her Facebook page, there was a thread where she was talking about this. And then it looked like there were local people to her on this thread. I mean, her mom even commented on this thread. And that's when I just like, that's when I felt like, oh my God, like there's people in this community.
I can understand that. Yeah,
that could be believing her, and is someone who knows the value of being able to report things to authorities and knows the havoc it can cause when you don't have that trust, you don't have that openness, or that I don't know, you don't feel safe or confident reporting shit to authorities. That'll destroy an entire community. That is what exactly crime needs to continue and to grow and to prosper.
Oh, yeah.
And not to mention that's what's going to destroy victims, because then you're looking at re-victimization, because nothing's ever changing, nothing's coming about, and whatever. So, and that was my whole concern, and I weighed, I was, even then though, still weighing, going back and forth with it and all, and I thought, if I'd rather be wrong this way than be wrong the other way. So, and even then, when I submitted the FOIA request, all I wanted was just the recording of the interview, so I could just learn if the officer did in fact say these things to her, or if there's no evidence of it.
Yeah.
Well, the way FOIA or the way data privacy laws work, especially primarily in Minnesota, and I imagine to some degree everywhere, is that in crimes like this, it's public information, but you can't be too specific, because then the department responding is that in and of itself is confirming and or denying something, and that is a violation of data privacy laws
and law. Yeah, definitely.
So basically, I had it just after 2 failed attempts. My third try, I was like, I'm just going to request everything. Screw it. I'll just request it all. And I wanted to add too, because people keep saying, oh, would this open the door to this, blah, blah, blah. No, it doesn't. Because you know what? I guarantee you, Uni, you won't be able to get that report. You can go ahead and submit a FOIA request tomorrow, see how far you get. You won't get it. Yeah. No one will. Because you have to have specific information in order to get it to begin with. And I had something that nobody else has. Okay? And she never, it was a bit of information that I learned along the way that she never put out there. It was because I had that bit of information that I was able to get this FOIA request granted. I appreciate you asking me and giving me this opportunity to say this, because I've said it I don't know how many times on my channel, but unless people go and hear it, they don't hear it. Yeah. So and even then, I just wanted to put out the information that showed that she was lying about the officer. And mind you, the claims that she made about the officer, she didn't make back in 2007 when this happened, when she made a report. She made these claims for the first time that I could see was in 2018, I think it was, in an older blog post. But she didn't name the officer or the police department, so that doesn't really count, I don't think. Yeah. But this was 13 years later. She was making these claims, okay, and she's blaming the whole everything, the whole reason why the case didn't go forward. She's blaming it all on this one investigator. That's it. Okay. And none of that was true. None of that was the case. And that's something that could really not only damage his career, possibly even just his whole life, and the department and the department's trust among the community. It can just destroy the community. Right, I do. And I get that no matter what, there will be people who disagree with me, and that's fine. I'll whatever. I won't even say a word about it. I accept your disagreement. So then after all that played out, and Little Red and I did our live stream, Katie, naturally got wind of it. And it was only then that she filed a complaint with this police department against this investigator for his actions, according to her, that 13 years earlier. So Then, upon this complaint, the department investigated, and they quickly found her claims to be unfounded because they looked at the evidence. One of such things that they looked at was the recording of the interview, and it was unfounded. So, I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean, there's no proof of any of those claims she made being true. If anything, there's strong evidence, I think, that they're not true. And other than that, besides her claims about the officer, like anything else that was learned or whatever, it basically corroborated her story.
Yeah.
It showed that her claims that she made in 2007, or the story she was telling now in 2020 about this dude, were the same as her story in 2007. I mean, that's huge.
If you want to answer that, you can. That's a whole
state. Every state has issues. And again, this was 2007. Okay, there had been already changes and everything made. And the history in which is being referred to all the time is the amount of untested kits. And I get it. The backlog is ridiculous. There should never have been a backlog anywhere. I fully understand it. People's upset and ire there. But that wasn't the situation here. That's not at all what happened. In fact, her kit was never tested, not because of some backlog or anything, but because the act of intercourse was not disputed on either side. So there was no reason to test it. It was already agreed upon by both parties. So why what are you going to test it for DNA? What for? I'd like to just, I'm more than happy to move on, but I just want to wrap this up real quick by saying this. I want to thank you for the opportunity to give my explanation and for you taking the time to ask me, because it's when people don't ask me and they then try to come at me as in using things like sexual assault or whatever as a means to come at me or as a way to hit me or whatever. That to me feels exploitative. If you're not even going to bother to talk to me, one-to-one, person to person, if you're not even going to bother to give me that respect, but instead you're going to come at me with some bullshit like that, then you are exploiting the situation for personal gain here. And that's, in my opinion, that's just shit. Well, I think if you take two people involved in the drama, if they were to be forced in a room together or whatever, I think that things would play out a lot differently. I think there would be more respect among each other. However, I don't think that I think that in a lot of these situations, though, the people don't really care.
I was going to say the same thing.
I think it's the whole showmanship, the whole drama of it and everything. And I get it. Don't get me wrong, because I've kind of fallen, I don't know, under its spell too at times,
Sure.
So I'm not judging, but there's friendly banter. There's I guess even a little more than that. Just it's showmanship. Just really exaggerating and accentuating. The whole discussion, the debate, or the argument. And then there's doing shit like doxing each other, putting out the people's addresses and putting out pictures of their homes or talking to family members and stuff. There's entertainment, and then there's just fucking bullshit. Yeah, it is. And I mean, I'm not judging people or whatever for it. I mean, and the thing is we're all going to be assholes at times. We're all going to get angry. We're always going to be in that right state of mind where something just sets us off. And that's not the problem, though. I think what's the problem, though, is that when that does happen, and when we realize that's happened, right afterwards, is how we go about handling it from there on out, and how the rest of us go about offering grace. That's what's important. And the thing is I'm not about to offer grace to anyone who doesn't truly want it. And
okay, I'm with you.
I mean, I think humility is a human trait that is long desired to be seen by everyone else. Yeah. So
I'm with you, definitely.
And if you don't have it, then there's going to be issues. So that's where I think the problem is, though. It's like you were saying, how what we were the talk or whatever the conversation is. What do we do about it? The thing is there is no one answer, and there is no one definitive answer. This involves humans. So it's like YouTube, the community of YouTube as a whole is a living, breathing organism that is ever evolving and changing. So whenever you find an answer to something, it's not going to be universal, and it will always change. So it's never something like, okay, there, we took care of this problem, now we can sit back and relax. No, there is never any relaxing.
Yeah.
You just,
I get it.
We're always going to be fucking up. So
that's
yeah, I mean, and also,
yeah, go ahead.
I mean, and I've said this before, like a dozen times or more times, and I think also too, we're expecting way too much out of YouTube creators. I mean, if we're expecting someone who's going to match and reach all of our expectations and values and share all of our morals and ideals and do everything the way that we think that it should be done, well, then we're going to be sorely disappointed. We're never going to find a channel that we can really truly support and stand behind, because no one will ever match our expectations. The information that's out, that's being alleged, or in the filings, that doesn't determine win or loss. I mean, really, when it all comes down to it, it's the arguments that win or lose a case. But you can look at what's being argued and see who has a better chance of forming a good argument. I don't know, whatever. But like, it takes more than just having the evidence and the actuality to win a lawsuit. I mean, you have to go through the motions. You have to do it properly. You have to do it, you have to handle the counter arguments. You have to, shred them. There's so much more to it. Well, the only thing, I mean, I think they do give examples and everything in this lawsuit, but I noticed that the one thing that they haven't provided much information or examples on to support their argument or to show their argument yet is the claim of Katie releasing sealed court records or whatever, or confidential court records. And because Katie has read court records, but they don't explain which records that were confidential, or which part that she read was confidential. And I get it, because if they did, then they themselves would be outing the confidential information. So I get it, they can't really do that. But that's the one thing I've seen that there's just no explanation of, and I'm kind of curious about. So I mean, especially if it's like, if it involves any posts that she herself has already like privatized or removed from public viewing, and like if it's anything like personal, like a home address or something, something like that, I get it. But I mean, as far as like the actual defamation and stuff like that, I mean, they have to. They don't have to, but in my opinion, if you want to successfully argue a defamation case, you have to attack the defamation. You have to provide evidence of what is the defamation and how it is defamation. If you don't publicly do this, then you're not addressing the defamation, because you're allowing the original statements to stay out there and be all that there is out there. So I mean, I think when it comes to the actual defamation, they're going to have to put a lot of it out there. Otherwise, oh my God, yeah. Like after the stream that we were talking about with the prevention stream there, I remember she ended up releasing like a pre-recorded video where she's like, my apology, my mistakes or whatever, and you can see it in her, like she's like, the words that are coming out of her mouth with like such a foul taste, and I mean, she's hating everything.
Oh,
but then
yeah.
But then she gets to the point where she says, for the past 18 months, a group has stalked and harassed about it, and as soon as I heard that, I'm like, and there it is, and that's when she suddenly didn't mind saying what the words she was saying, and she's saying, oh, this is none of this is my fault, it's because this has happened, that's happened, blah blah blah. And then after that, she did another stream where she's like, you know what? I read this article today, and I'm done. I'm going back to being me. Fuck everyone else. I think that might have even been the stream where she said, if you want to defend me, go ahead. I'm not sure. I could be wrong about that, but but that's when she's like, I'm done. I'm just gonna be a bitch about this stuff. And you see it. That's when she starts talking mad shit about Emily D. Baker. It's like she's going through town, or if to use the car analogy, she's doing the speed limit. She's okay with it. She's following the rules of the road like anyone else. And then it's like she starts to resent the fact that she has to stay within the speed limit. She can't just do whatever the fuck she wants. She has to follow the rules of the road. And it's like she gets so mad that she just says, fuck it, I'm going to break them all. I mean, in my opinion anyways, when it comes to something like YouTube, I mean, even so much of it is about perception. I mean, it's good if you can back up the image and everything you're trying to give off. But I mean, if you can't even just put off the right image as to not piss people off for like 5 minutes, then what are you doing? I mean, just every once in a while, you got to know when to shut up, I guess. I don't know. And I don't think she knows. And maybe none of us really do. I don't know. I mean, yeah. I mean, it is a lot about, it is about all those things you mentioned. I think it's really good commentary though, when you can respect the friendships, you can respect the relationships and everything, but still also give, a bit of, I don't know, just
no, I'm with you.
Is some give an opinion that's as unbiased as possible, and just be nice about it. Yeah, be polite about it. But I mean, because I think you're going if you don't acknowledge something that's a behavior or an action that was kind of shitty to others, if you don't acknowledge it, then you're invalidating it for a group of people that were offended by the said behavior or the action. And you can acknowledge it without demonizing the person who committed the offense.